And welcome. This is Politics Today on Channels Television. I'm Sheung Okinbaloye. Well, before I take you into the topic of the day, let's take a quick ride into the interesting world of Anambra politics. The PDP primary is held on Saturday in Awka, the state capital, but it was interesting that two primaries were being held simultaneously at two different venues, and at the end of the day, two flag bearers emerged for the People's Democratic Party. Mr. Tony Nwoye won at the center where the presence of the PDP national members were. And while that was going on, Senator Andrew Uba also emerged winner of the Ogbuebego-led PDP faction in Anambra State. Now, the big question is, who is the valid PDP candidate in Anambra State, and how will the party resolve the crisis that appears to be a monster to the party at this moment as they look towards the governorship election? Meanwhile, other parties in the state are also progressing. They are making progress. APGA will hold its own primaries on Monday, while the APC says Senator Chris Ngige will fly its flag come November 16. Well, that is the situation in Anambra State, and I is going to be on Anambra. November 16 is the day of the governorship election in Anambra State. A lot of things are happening as regards politics in Anambra State, especially a month before that, October 5th to be precise. The people of Anambra State for over almost a decade have not witnessed the election of local government officials. They will be doing that on October 5th, where a lot of controversy is also trailing that particular election, which a lot of people say that there are a lot of cases, or there's a case in court over the election, the local government election in Anambra State. Well, after that, November 16 is when the people of Anambra again will go to the polls to elect a new governor. But the interesting part at this moment is the PDP in Anambra State. Senator Andy Uba emerged. Meanwhile, in that particular situation, and simultaneously another primaries was going on in another part of the town where Mr. Tony Nwoye actually emerged. Well, in that particular election where Senator Andy Uba emerged as winner, Mr. Tony Nwoye just got only one vote. Interesting indeed, and we'll be keeping tab on that particular story, and we'll be bringing you the latest and details of that particular story. And now to the issue of the day. When Dr. Obi Ezekwesili gave a lecture on the cost of governance in Nigeria earlier in the week, several reactions trailed submissions, which she actually said was not particularly about the legislature. Tonight, we'll take a look at the Nigerian system, which has been indicted based on some comparison on how much goes into recurrent expenditures and cost of running government compared to some other countries. The Economist magazine revealed that Nigerian federal legislators with a basic salary of 30 million naira per annum are the highest paid lawmakers in the world. In another report, the 469 federal lawmakers, 199 senators, and 360 members of the House of Representatives cost Nigeria over 76 billion on annual salaries, allowances, and quarterly payments. Well, all of these may not be entirely wrong, especially when there are legal payments and one that they have worked for. But in the case of the alarming indices that characterize our polity, it may therefore look or sound out of place for public office holders to go home with such amount while the majority of the populace live in penury. Take, for example, according to the 2007 Human Rights Watch report, the rate of corruption in Nigeria has led to the loss of about $380 billion between 1960 and 1999. Income inequality is another serious problem confronting the nation. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, in 2010, 65% of Nigeria's wealth is owned by just 20% of the population. But at this time, 5% of the population control 35% of income. Again, 80% of the population share between them only about 1/3 of the nation's wealth. Nigeria is richly endowed with human and natural resources, particularly oil and gas, as well as 34 solid mineral resources such as gold, coal, and sulfur. With a nominal gross domestic product of $260 billion in 2011, Nigeria is the second largest economy in Africa, the sixth fastest growing economy in Africa, with a real GDP economic growth rate of 6.9% in 2011, the largest producer of oil in Africa and the seventh largest in the world in 2011. With a population of about 160 million in 2011, Nigeria is by far the most populous country in Africa, accounting for 47% and 2% of West Africa's and global population respectively. Despite this rich human and natural resource endowment, Nigeria's GDP per capita is only $1,200. Average life expectancy is at 51.9%, average years of schooling at 5.0% rate, and poverty is widespread in Nigeria, with about 70% of the population living below the poverty line in 2011. Hence, Nigeria was ranked by the UNDP in 2011 report on UN Quality of Life and Human Development Index as 156 out of 187. These are just a few of some of the statistics that make an informed Nigerian almost want to puke when he or she hears how much elected officials take home. Thanks to Professor Laden for some of this research work that I've quoted here on cost of governance. Tonight, I'm being joined on the program by a financial expert, Mr. Bismarck Pt.2. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Yes, good evening.
Well, I'm expecting to hear or to have joining us from our Abuja studio the spokesperson of the president, Dr. Reuben Abati, but I understand that he's not on ground at the moment, and also a member of the House of Representatives. Of course, all of these people are in the news as regards this issue of cost of governance in Nigeria. But in the meantime, we shall be looking at this issue, and of course, you can participate in this particular discussion tonight on the program, very crucial to your livelihood as a Nigerian. Tonight, you can tweet at us at Sheung Oki or send an email to us at politicstoday@channelstv.com. Let me start with you, Mr. Rwani. With all of these indices and all of the introduction that I made, what is your take on the way Nigeria has been run, based on what Dr. Obi Ezekwesili said in a lecture?
First and foremost, let me confirm something. There's, in economics, we call the law of diminishing marginal returns. If you keep all other factors constant and you increase the amount of labor, you get to a point where income increases and begins to reduce. So what is this? What's the position? The position is that Nigeria is 1/10 the size of the United States. Nigeria is the same size as the state of Texas. However, Nigeria's cost of governance is $3 billion, whilst the cost of governance in Texas is only $31 million. So it tells you everything. The returns, the GDP of the United States is 10 times the GDP of the Nigerian economy. Whilst Nigeria is governed by 2,500 legislators, when you add the state and national together, I've excluded that of local government. In the United States, you have 7,383 legislators. But if you take Texas, Texas has only 181 legislators, right? And Nigeria, which is the same size, has 2,500. The cost of governance in Texas is $31 million, while the cost of governance in Nigeria is $3 billion, when you take the states and everything put together.
Well, we are a rich country, Mr. Rwani.
I don't know about that. I think Nigeria is not a wealthy country.
Really?